Welcome to Country First Action Foundation's Lesson Number 8, Free Trade and Tariffs. From the founding of the United States to the present day, trade policy has been a key component of economic growth and foreign relations. Early American leaders, including Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson, debated the role of tariffs and trade barriers. Hamilton favored protective tariffs to nurture fledgling American industries, while Jefferson leaned toward free trade, believing it would keep the government small and benefit the agrarian economy. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, the U.S. relied heavily on tariffs as a source of revenue, and protectionism was widely practiced. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff of 1930, implemented in response to the Great Depression, significantly worsened global trade relations, deepening the economic downturn. The lesson learned from Smoot-Hawley led to a shift toward freer trade, culminating in the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade in 1947, and eventually the World Trade Organization in 1995. Ronald Reagan, an ardent advocate of free markets, championed trade liberalization during his presidency. His administration worked to lower trade barriers, promote globalization, and strengthen economic alliances, helping to usher in a new era of economic interdependence that fostered prosperity across nations. Free trade has long been a pillar of conservative economic philosophy. By allowing the flow of goods and services across borders with minimal government interference, free trade fosters competition, innovation, and economic efficiency. There are many benefits to free trade. Let's go through some of them. Lower prices for consumers. Free trade enables consumers to access a wider variety of goods at lower prices. When tariffs and import restrictions are removed, competition increases, forcing businesses to produce better products at more affordable prices. Economic growth and job creation. Trade expands markets for U.S. businesses, leading to higher productivity and job growth. Companies that export tend to pay higher wages and invest more in research and development. Specialization and comparative advantage. Free trade allows nations to specialize in producing goods where they have a comparative advantage. The United States, for example, excels in technology, agriculture, and financial services, allowing it to trade efficiently with other nations that excel in manufacturing and raw materials. Stronger diplomatic relations. Trade fosters peaceful relations among nations by increasing interdependence. Countries that trade together are less likely to engage in conflicts, making economic alliances a key aspect of foreign policy. A common misconception is that trade deficits are inherently harmful. The trade deficit occurs when a country imports more than it exports. While some view this as a sign of economic weakness, the reality is more nuanced. Capital inflows strengthen the economy. When the U.S. runs a trade deficit, foreign investors often reinvest those dollars back into the American economy, purchasing treasury bonds, real estate, and businesses. This inflow of capital supports economic growth and job creation. Consumer and business benefits. A trade deficit often signals strong consumer demand and a growing economy. The ability to purchase high-quality goods and services from abroad at competitive prices raises living standards. Innovation and productivity gains. By importing goods that are more cheaply or efficiently produced elsewhere, the U.S. can focus its resources on high-value industries such as technology, pharmaceuticals, and aerospace. Fluctuations are natural. Trade balances fluctuate based on economic cycles. In periods of rapid economic expansion, trade deficits tend to rise as consumption increases. Conversely, during recessions, deficits tend to shrink as demand slows. While tariffs are often promoted as a tool to protect domestic industries, history shows they frequently backfire, leading to unintended economic consequences. Higher costs for consumers and businesses. Tariffs act as a hidden tax on consumers by raising the price of imported goods. This reduces disposable income and limits choices for American families. Retaliatory measures hurt exports. When the U.S. imposes tariffs, other nations frequently respond with their own tariffs on American products. This can severely impact key industries such as agriculture, manufacturing, and technology, which rely on global markets. Disruptions to supply chains. Modern businesses operate within complex global supply chains. Tariffs increase costs for companies that rely on imported materials, making it harder for them to compete internationally. Reduced economic growth. Protectionist policies often lead to inefficiencies, reducing overall economic growth and job creation. Studies show that past tariff increases have historically resulted in job losses rather than job gains. The North American Free Trade Agreement, often called NAFTA, was enacted in 1994 and created one of the world's largest free trade zones by eliminating tariffs and trade barriers between the United States, Canada, and Mexico. The agreement expanded trade between the three nations, significantly increasing U.S. exports to Mexico and Canada. Boosted economic growth and job creation, particularly in sectors such as agriculture, automotive, and services. Lowered costs for consumers and businesses by creating integrated supply chains across North America. Though NAFTA faced criticism over certain labor and environmental concerns, its overall impact was overwhelmingly positive for economic growth and competitiveness. The United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or the USMCA, which replaced NAFTA in 2020, retained many of NAFTA's benefits while updating provisions to reflect the modern economy. The key improvements included stronger intellectual property protections, increased labor and environmental standards, particularly in Mexico, and more balanced rules of origin for auto manufacturing, ensuring greater North American content. USMCA preserves the free market foundation of NAFTA while addressing some of its shortcomings, making it a win for all three countries. Trade policy is one of the most important drivers of economic prosperity. As Ronald Reagan emphasized, free trade fuels innovation, lowers costs, and strengthens diplomatic ties. While concerns over trade deficits and competition from foreign nations are understandable, the evidence overwhelmingly supports free trade as a pathway to long-term economic growth. Protectionism and tariffs may seem appealing in the short term, but history has shown they harm the very workers and industries they aim to protect. Instead, embracing trade agreements fosters prosperity, ensuring the United States remains a global economic leader for generations to come. Thank you for joining us today to learn about the benefits of free trade. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at the email address on the screen, and we will get back to you as soon as possible.